current term in the Senate will be my last.
Earlier today, U.S. Senator Mitch McConnell of Kentucky with the announcement everyone expected, but no one knew when it would come. On the day of his 83rd birthday, the longtime Republican lawmaker says he's at the end of a long career. He will not run again in 2026.
So the only appropriate thing to take away today, apart from a healthy dose of pride, is my immense gratitude for the opportunity to take part in the consequential business of the Senate and the nation.
McConnell was elected 7 times to represent Kentucky on the national stage. He served a record-breaking 18 years as the Republican Senate leader. That's what makes him the longest-serving U.S. Senator. Tonight, we will have full coverage of this major announcement that's now set up a U.S. Senate race in Kentucky, including a look at how McConnell got started here in Louisville. Thanks for joining us. I'm Shay McAllister.
And I'm Doug Proffitt. And Shay, what a Senate race that's going to develop to be coming up, with already Republican Daniel Cameron saying he's in. But first, our Isaiah Kim Martinez was in Frankfort when the news came down. And Isaiah, McConnell is viewed as the godfather of the GOP in Kentucky, changing it from Democratic control.
Yeah, Doug, you're absolutely right. For the last 40 years or so, basically building the Kentucky GOP from the ground up. And I talked to Kentucky Republicans all throughout Frankfort today, and there was a consensus. The shock wasn't the decision, but the timing of it today.
For people in the Republican Party, many of them owe much of their success to him.
Well, Mitch McConnell made what Kentucky is today. We used to be a blue state, and it really was a lot of his efforts. And, you know, people love him, people maybe don't love him. He has done great work for the state of Kentucky.
Kentucky Senate President Robert Stivers and Kentucky State Senator Lindsey Titchener both there talking to me this afternoon. You're seeing McConnell on your screen here. Of course, his impact goes from Washington right down here to Kentucky. Even in Louisville, the mayor today, Mayor Greenberg, telling me the impact Senator McConnell, like him or not, that he's had on the University of Louisville, of course, on the Parklands. There's a lot to be said there. And ultimately, Doug Shea, he said in his speech today that he's still got time left in the Senate, and he's got a few things that he wants to take care of beforehand. We know the relationship between him and President Trump is not great. Many talk about the disdain they have for each other. So what could this next year and a half look like? That is the big question. Of course, we have other folks already announcing that they are going to run to fill his seat when he's all said and done. Of course, Daniel Cameron, the former Attorney General, Republican here in Kentucky, being the only one right now on the Republican side to make it official. But Doug Shea, we do have some other contenders who have sort of been flirting with the idea. Congressman Andy Barr saying it's something he's considering. We also have businessman Nate Morse, who's got plenty of money here in Kentucky. He basically in his tweet says he's anti-McConnell and we need a Trump first candidate to run for this, but he stopped short of actually saying he'd run. So again, a lot of flirting right now, but not quite taking the full leap except for Daniel Cameron, guys.
All right, Isaiah, thank you very much. We'll have more on this coming up tonight at 6.
Well, quickly after McConnell's announcement, former gubernatorial candidate Daniel Cameron had an announcement of his own. He is running for his seat. He posted this on social media, saying it is time for a new generation in the Senate. Cameron lost against Andy Beshear in the 2023 governor's race.
Well, more of our coverage right here. You know, Mitch McConnell was born in Alabama, but his family moved to Louisville when he was 15 years old. He became student body president of Manual High School. He first hit the political spotlight in Louisville when he was elected Jefferson County Judge Executive. WHAS-TV News covered every step of his rise to power, the biggest leap, of course, in 1984.
After 16 long years in the wilderness, the two-party system is back in Kentucky.
This is the day, November 6, 1984. You can say it's when Mitch McConnell started his long journey to forever change Kentucky's politics and the nation.
But to keep this economic recovery going, we need people like Mitch McConnell in the United States Senate.
Over his long career, a polarizing figure who drew protests at restaurants and even outside his Louisville home.
I'm going to be real hopeful and really hope we tell the truth about a man who has grabbed power for almost 40 years in one of the poorest states.
In March of 2023, he fell so hard inside a hotel restroom that he was hospitalized and in rehab for 6 weeks. The seriousness of that fall was not known until a 2024 book called The Price of Power. McConnell cooperated with the book's author, who said he hit so hard that he lost both of his hearing aids and was bleeding at the back of his head. For a time, he almost lost consciousness. He also suffered a cracked rib. Through it all, the flashback of his steady rise to reshape America and Kentucky's politics became a national discussion. Republican strategist from Louisville, Iris Wilbur-Glick.
Once upon a time, blue, blue, blue. Very difficult to find a Republican, but I think because Mitch McConnell and where he started out, right, he was the only, I think, Republican challenger in the '84 cycle to defeat an incumbent Democrat. So that sort of set the tone.
McConnell divorced from his first wife and has 3 children from that marriage. But they did sit down together for an interview with WHAS TV's Angie Humphrey.
The motivation, the intention to try to do what's best for the community is what really guides our decision making.
He's not going to be beloved. He will be respected, and he will be known as somebody who was respected and feared.
Turned out to be a hell of a lot tougher than I thought it was going to be.
He's already ascended Mount Everest. He's there, got the binoculars. Hey, this is a pretty good view here. He's had that view for decades. Guess where the next person starts? At the rock bottom.
Terry Miners there probably has interviewed Mitch McConnell more than any other broadcaster in this community. Well, in the end, McConnell's brand of the Republican Party is leaving Washington. The Reagan Republicans have been replaced by Donald Trump's strong influence on the direction of the GOP, and McConnell has made his dislike of Donald Trump very clear.
Well, coming up at 5:30, our coverage continues with former U.S. Congressman John Yarmuth. He and McConnell were friends as young political operatives. Yarmuth joins us live at 5:30.
And now more local news here at 5 o'clock. The top stories: the woman accused of strangling a fellow patient at a Louisville rehab facility. A story we first told you about will have her mental health evaluated. A judge made the ruling today that Angela Hensley will have a psychiatric evaluation to see if she's competent to stand trial. Metro Police arrested Hensley just last week at the Praxis Rehab Facility on Malcolm Avenue. According to police, Hensley admitted to killing another patient with a towel, saying the woman, Holly Knight, wanted to die. Hensley is charged with murder. She'll be back in court on April 10th.
E-Town police tell us today everyone made it out safely from this crazy scene after 2 semi-trucks collided into a home this morning, sliding right off of an icy I-65. Police say they were both driving on the interstate when they slid off into that home. No serious injuries happened here. That home is on Hawkins Drive.
Well, maybe it's a snow cover on the ground. You know, we've had cold weather so far this winter, but today just seemed extra cold. I don't know why. Couldn't find enough coats to put on.
Last night, too, those overnights been incredibly cold.
It was extra cold because it was extra cold, Doug. We're down to the single digits this morning.
How extra cold was it, Ben?
That's my technical explanation because, we're down to 10 in the city, outlying areas, single digits. It's very cold still, low 20s. Feels like around 10 with that wind at around 10 miles per hour. Very dry area as well, thankfully, because we're seeing that sunshine. But that dew point at 2, that measure of water content. So the humidity outside at 42%, but the humidity inside could be way lower than that. As you're warming up your house, the humidity goes way down and might get that static electric shock every once in a while. There's the wind chills right now down at 4 in Hardinsburg, 9 in Frankfort, and LaGrange at 9, same in Elizabethtown. So we've been clearing out that sky nicely today. As we just have that northwest breeze keeping that cold polar air locked in place. It'll stay very cold for tomorrow, but then finally we'll get above freezing by Saturday afternoon. So there's that northwest breeze and temperatures in the teens this evening. Now, the winds will be pretty light overnight. Might see a little patchy fog with lows around 5 to 10 degrees, and then high temperatures with sunshine near the freezing mark, 32 degrees tomorrow afternoon. So teens for this evening with a clear sky. We drop down to around 9 over that snowpack across the area. 25 at noon tomorrow, and that forecast high with sunshine at 32 for your Friday afternoon. Now, day by day, things are going to start to get warmer and warmer. I'll show you that warm up and a drier weather pattern. All pretty much good stuff coming up at that 7-day forecast.
Thank you, Ben. Well, with all of the rain we've had and now the snow melt coming, we want to bring you a live update from the Ohio River here in Louisville.
Ian Hardwick and senior photojournalist Alyssa Newton join us from Waterfront Park's Great Lawn. So Ian, show us around. How does it look out there?
Shay, right now the Ohio the stairs over here
here in Butchertown's the Whirling Tiger.
I feel like we need to do anything we can to help out.
McKinley Moore set the stage for a show raising money, benefiting eastern Kentucky communities hit by widespread flooding. Places like Paintsville, where he grew up.
Especially with music, so much of our culture has come from that part of the state.
Mandy Keithley grew up out east in Cow Creek. That's near Prestonburg, where people had to flee their homes.
You know, I've seen people say, oh, I've got free furniture, and they're like, honey, I got nowhere to put it.
So she said people need money more than anything right now. Local bands and businesses have pitched in, putting thousands of dollars worth of merch and gift cards up for a charity auction. Keithley's pulled it all together in just 3 days.
It has been a fast and furious thing. It was just me and McKinley were talking about our families. We're just checking in, like, how's your folks, how's your people? And then it was just like, how can I help?
National Weather Service surveys found that dozens of people lost their homes. Water rose as high as 6 feet inside in some cases.
We lost a lot of Kentuckians from this flood. We issued a lot of warnings. We tried to save people's lives, and I'm just brokenhearted for all the people who have succumbed to this.
Moore and Keithley are both relieved their families were spared the travesty, but just as tragedy pulls people together, so too does the music.
It's been pretty amazing to see the response and everybody just jump in and want to help out any way they can. And that's honestly been a thing I've always seen in the music scene in this city.
Ian Hardwick reporting there on the latest from the Ohio River. You saw him. Names like Maggie Halfman will be at tonight's show, by the way, in Louisville and Butchertown. She's performing with My Morning Jacket during their hometown shows coming up in April. The auction will have tickets to Bourbon and Beyond, the Frazier Museum, and gift cards for tattoos.
If you can't make it out to the show, there's also a Team Kentucky Storm Fund where you can donate. And you can help those affected by donating. It was established by Governor Randy Beshear.
That's right. The Team Kentucky fundraiser underway right now. You can find it on kentucky.gov, ky.gov, or on our story on the WHAS11 website.